Hello, welcome to POCCA Cape Cod TV show. I'm Laura Kelley. We're recording today at LCTV at Nauset High School in Eastham on Cape Cod. POCCA stands for Protect Our Cape Cod Aquifer. Because we live above an aquifer, we should think about what we're doing every single day to help preserve and take care of the water that we're consuming. So today we're going to actually be talking about mushrooms. It's a show about mycelium and fungi and lots of other Latin words that we're going to be hearing. My guest today is Wes. Thanks for joining me.
Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yay. Do you have an organization here on the Cape?
Yeah, a couple organizations this year. My partner Todd Leftwich and I founded the Nantucket Mushrooms LLC.
Oh, nice.
And our farm's located in South Chatham.
Oh, excellent.
And we are going to be growing a bunch of different species this year. We intended to grow maybe 20 to 22 species. We're going to pare that down to probably 5 or 6 that we can really focus on.
Here on the Cape?
Yep.
So you're able to grow mushrooms for harvest, for sale, for locals.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And
yeah.
Amounts-wise, are we talking, a couple of, I don't know how they're sold.
We have 2 greenhouses that we're producing out of. When they're in full production, we should be able to get between 500 and 700 pounds a week out of the greenhouse. So that's sort of what we're...
500 and 700 pounds per week.
Yeah.
What kinds of mushrooms are you
we're going to be growing Namicos. Folio de Namico is this species right here. It's a nice edible. We're going to be growing Phoenix oyster mushrooms.
That's kind
white
of common,
oyster mushrooms,
right?
Brown oyster mushrooms. Yeah, relatively common species, especially for cultivators. They're very fast at taking over their medium that they're growing on, and
makes it easier growers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So can people do this as well?
Yeah, we sell grow kits for people. We sell spawn cultures for professional cultivators. And we're going to have a little retail shop at the farm where people can come and pick up their mushrooms from us.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent. So do you have a CHA?
We have a CSA, which is a very, very important part of our farm, our marketing plan this year, which is CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. Mm-hmm. We sell 20-week shares. It's a little bit non-traditional because our farm is year-round, so you can join the CSA at any time throughout the year, and you can get a quarter pound a week, a half a pound a week, a pound a week, up to as much as you'd like. Yeah. You can pick up your share at farmers markets. We'll be in 5 different farmers markets this year, maybe more depending on how things progress. And we sell wholesale as well. And
excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Something I think that we all should be thinking about is where we purchase our food these days. Because we don't actually know what is happening to our food, the quality of our food is changing. How it's grown is one thing, how it's shipped is another thing, how far it's shipped to get to us, what kind of preservatives are on it, what kind of, pesticides, herbicides, fertilizer. There's so many things to think about. Purchasing locally, closer to your home, spending your money where you really want to build that company, that organization, that farm is the best thing we can do right now. So farmers markets, there are many available on the Cape, maybe every other town, different days of the week, different hours of the day. And please do your own research and figure out where they're located and check them out. I mean, it's a lot more bounty than I ever imagined. And every year they're getting bigger and bigger. So quality is there, the organics are there, the costs are down because there's no middleman. And hearing you being readily available at farmers markets with mushrooms for, mushrooms are more than just food for, sauteing and what we want flavor with. Mm-hmm. They're also medicine, and they help grow things too, like for fertilizers as well, right?
There's things called mycorrhizae, which are, if you can do a close-up on this book here, this book's called Mycorrhizal Symbiosis. And one of my favorite books, but the picture on the front of it is fantastic. What it's showing you is there's a little pine tree here that's growing. The underground root system of the pine tree, and then connected to the root system, all these little white filaments are the mycelium. Right. This is another close-up of that same mycelium, but it's magnified a few hundred times. So that they're essentially the mycelium, or the root of the mushroom, is what we're expanding. And within these roots, at the very tips of all these little fine filament root hairs, is basically a little enzyme factory. And these mushrooms produce these, this mycelium produces these enzymes, pushes the enzymes out into its environment to digest its food source, and then re-intakes the nutrients. So
it's a good aid.
It's a good aid, and
yeah.
There was a study recently in Science magazine. I think it said 95% of all land plants have some type of mycorrhizae, some type of root-associated fungus that helps the plant uptake nutrients, retain water, drought resistance, confers drought resistance, and makes plants generally healthier. So mycorrhizae in the soil are very important, and you can add mycorrhizae to your soil, to your house plants. Yeah.
And the other fun thing that mushrooms are beneficial is actually breaking things down. So we've heard that they can break things like plastics, right?
Yeah. So that what the fungi is trying to do is free the carbon molecule so it can eat it. So it breaks down any carbon-based molecule. So pesticides are carbon-based, herbicides are carbon-based, diesel fuel, VX nerve gas, anything that has some type of carbon molecule. The enzyme factory in the mycelium, it can figure out what it is and how to break it down.
Isn't that neat?
It's fascinating. It's incredible.
See, that really excites me. So by chance, I went on a trip, and I picked up this particular book that you happen to bring here today. I'm all excited. This book I've read, I don't even know, more times maybe than most books, this is for sure. Really has a lot of simple solutions on how we can do more than just, common things like break down our compost pile. Mm-hmm. But we can break down plastic. We can break down, you're talking about fertilizers, pesticides. This is a big deal that mushrooms can actually handle these tough situations. So this book, ironically, it says how mushrooms can help save the world. And it's kind of old now. It's like 10 years old, right?
Yeah, Paul wrote that in 2004, I believe. Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so it's neat now to see how progression of time has brought us to, well, yeah, maybe, he's right.
Well, there's
really
some students at Yale that just went down to the Amazon rainforest, and they picked up a species. I believe the species name is Pestilotopsis something or other, but it breaks down polypropylene.
Wow.
And so they're working within their lab now, trying to get it to produce the enzymes to digest more of it. So essentially you can make what's called a bioreactor. You could put waste in the bioreactor with these enzymes that could then degrade.
Incredible.
Incredible. So which brings me to the point about the Amazon rainforest, or any rainforest for that matter. Conservation issues are a huge thing globally, and what we don't know that exists in these places is probably worth far more than we could ever imagine. So it's a systemic conversation. It's a global conversation, but fungi are a good way to help start the conversation. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Paul Stamets is incredible. He's world renowned. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Am I correct in saying that? Mushroom specialist. I've seen him many times in just talks and lectures. I'm NOFA accredited. That's a Northeastern Organic Farmers Association. As an organic land care provider, I continue to educate myself on that. And he gives classes a lot. And you studied under him for a while, correct?
Well, yeah, I took both of Paul's courses, one of his professional mushroom cultivator courses and his bioremediation course. Nice. And then I was fortunate enough to spend about a month out there with him.
Incredible.
Yeah. Got to learn quite a bit. And
so you're a mini me.
A mini me? Well, Paul's his own person. I'm my own person, but certainly was one of my good teachers. Yeah.
So I just feel fortunate. You can see where I'm going with this. Paul is the mushroom guru of the world, and Wes is the mushroom guru of Cape Cod. We're so lucky to have him here. He's able to grow these beautiful creatures. I don't even understand the capacity of what's going on here.
Well, I appreciate the compliment, but it takes far more than me to run the farm. And my partner Todd does most of the lab work. Our farm manager Troy is critical for the operation. Our office manager Jamie, who's actually also the education coordinator for NOFA, is fantastic. So it's not just one person.
It's true. It definitely takes an army to put this all together. Can you explain a little bit about maybe a couple of these that you have here?
Sure. Well, what I'd like to do is start off with the process of how we start to cultivate.
Great.
And there's a couple different ways to cultivate. You can do it either through tissue culture, which is taking a fresh mushroom. These mushrooms right here. This is called a brick top. And I'm just going to pick it. We have this growing on wood chips right now that we utilize and we expand these wood chips onto beds outside. So this is full of mycelium. You can actually, I can hold it up to the camera. You can do a close-up of that. If that works. So this is all myceliated wood chips. We'll take this and we'll inoculate more wood chips with it.
Mm-hmm.
From this stage,
so it's like spores or something?
This is the mycelium, which is the same as sort of this.
Okay.
Yeah. The spores are on the gills on the underside of the mushroom.
All right.
So what we would do is, there's a couple main ways to cultivate. You can take a spore print, which is, I don't know if you can see that on the camera. This here. You would take a mushroom and put it on a plate or a petri dish. Cool. Let it sit there overnight, and it will drop its spores in usually a beautiful pattern, many different colors. And then you could take these spores, and you can take a sterile scalpel, and put those spores onto a petri dish with agar on it. Now that would germinate a little bit differently than what's happening here, but this is actually a tissue culture. Now a tissue culture is a little bit. When you take a spore print, you don't know if you're going to get something that's true to the original species. There'll be a lot of genetic variability there. So when you do a tissue culture, you would take a fresh mushroom from the wild, if you knew it was a cultivar or something you're growing in your greenhouse or your home. You'd peel back the top of the cap, just a little bit like that, and you take a scalpel. You'd cut out a little piece of tissue. You'd put it onto the plate. This is a potato dextrose agar, and then it would grow out like this. And after a certain amount of time, probably about 7 days, depending on the species, you can see the zone of mycelium. It grows out in a circle, radiates outward.
That's cool.
And this is a white oyster, a phoenix oyster variety. This here is the chicken of the woods, Laetiparus sulphurus. We do a close-up on that as well. And this is you can actually see, there we go. You can see the zonations within the mycelium. So after 7 days, it takes over the whole plate. And then we can take this and we can cut it up into smaller pieces, put it in a blender for 3 seconds, and do a liquid inoculation. So we'll grow it out on liquid for 3 days. We'll take the liquid and we'll pour it into sterilized grain. This is organic rye grain. So we'll pour it into sterilized grain. This is a grain master. Once it colonizes the rye grain, we can take this bag and we can make 10 more bags from this bag.
Oh, that's neat.
And then at that point, we will be able to either expand it onto wood chips, or onto straw, which I don't have here with me. So that's sort of the process, and then we'll fruit it from there.
So is it really a 6-step program, or is it kind of once you get this, you're on your way, right? That's pretty easy.
It's not easy.
Time? Maybe time, right?
Well, it's not easy. It's doable, but it's not easy. The laboratory has to be sterile. There's a lot of ways that things can get contaminated to potentially, so you can lose product or you can lose spawn. So you have to make sure that the steps that you follow are sterile and that you have certain protocols. There are very simple ways to cultivate mushrooms. The way that we do it is a little bit more complicated because we make all our own spawn and we make all our own cultures.
Right.
So.
Wow. So you really do all this in-house.
Mm-hmm.
So you have total control. Are you organic?
We don't have.
Are you organic?
We are not certified organic. Actually, it's quite expensive for small farmers. There's a whole other side conversation I'm sure we could have, but just to touch on it briefly, the USDA's fee structure and permitting process is pretty difficult for the small farmer to do. So actually, we're certified naturally grown.
Great.
Which is an alternative to the USDA organic. Yeah, but we don't use any chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, etc. So
good, because you can control all these living situations and keep it as fresh, clean, pure.
It's important to grow. It's important to not use chemicals on mushrooms specifically. Vegetables as well. And the reason being because mushrooms are 80% water. So talking about protect your water. It's 80% water, so what's in the water will get absorbed into the mushroom, and you'll end up eating it. I mean, it's that simple. So very important to try to find your mushrooms from an organic source or folks that aren't using.
So mushrooms, certain types of mushrooms can give us different types of benefits. True.
Most edible mushrooms, I'd say all edible mushrooms are medicinal. In some way or
that again. All edible mushrooms are medicinal.
Right. All edible mushrooms are medicinal. So even oyster mushrooms have been shown in scientific studies to lower bad cholesterol. They're anti-inflammatory.
Those are oyster mushrooms?
Oyster mushrooms, yeah.
Okay, they're pretty average.
This is like a species of Ganoderma, which is the species that reishi is in. And this is actually utilized, the mycelium of it and the fruit body is ground up and utilized to help modulate the immune system. So folks that are experiencing autoimmune diseases, it's also been shown to be cytotoxic against certain cancers.
Wow.
Which a lot of mushrooms are able to do that.
Great.
The immune system is quite complicated and probably only partially understood. But the more we can do to support it, the better off we'll be.
Absolutely. And so mixing certain types of mushrooms with, let's say, prescription drugs isn't going to be...
the contraindications from a medicinal mushroom standpoint with traditional drugs, like for instance, if someone's going through breast cancer therapy and they're using traditional methods of chemo, certain species of medicinal mushrooms will actually help with the immune system, which is being degraded by the chemo, but also help with the sickness that the chemo causes.
That's great.
But I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not giving medical. I'm not giving
medical. Do your own research and do the right thing. But know that in taking natural foods along your journey, say gently, is only going to help. And it doesn't harm the work that you're working on. So do your own research and feel comfortable about what you're putting into yourself and into your body, and know ahead of time what's going on. So.
In the interest of disclosure, we also run a website, an e-commerce website called eFungi, www.efungi.com, and we sell medicinal mushroom supplements that other companies make. We don't currently make our own. I'm not here to sell anything. I'm here to educate and help try to educate, but conflicts of interest being what they are, just wanted to disclose that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good. Great. Well, what else do we have here, Wes?
Well, this is a bricktop. This is Hypholoma sublaricium. Yeah, this actually is a dried. This is a dried version of this.
That's what I was.
Now we didn't expect this to fruit. This is actually a fall fruiting mushroom, but we had a really strong front that came through, and the barometric pressure changed, which forced this into fruiting for some reason. So with this new front that's coming in, we're expecting to see some other things fruit. And it's actually, we use recycled landscape pots that normally get thrown out.
Excellent.
You can, these are fruiting right out of the holes in the bottom of the pot, but you could drill holes in the sides and have more.
I see.
Schumacher Landscaping saves their pots and gives them to us, so thanks to Schumacher.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Now there's other ways to grow mushrooms at home too, like in wood trees?
So log cultivation, yep. I'll be giving a workshop on log cultivation at our farm through NOFA. And I'm not sure exactly when it is actually. It's in June sometime. But you can do log cultivation. You can cultivate any saprophytic species, any species of mushroom that normally grows on wood. Maitake, shiitake, lion's mane. even these species like this. This is actually pretty cool. This is called Philinus lentius. This grows on locust trees, but it only grows on locust, and very few species grow on locust because it's such a tough wood to degrade. And the only place on the Cape I found this is in Eastham and Orleans.
Nice.
Yep. You can grind it down. It's beneficial for the immune system.
Eat it, saute it.
Yeah, immunopotentiating. You grind it down into a powder. You could throw it into a tea, or you could use it as put it on your yogurt or something.
Nice,
yeah.
Nice. That's kind of neat. It's only found around here.
Which leads me to mushroom recipes, which is a question we get a lot. We're working with quite a few chefs on the Cape. We have a lot of local chefs really helping us out, supporting us. They like the product, and
I'm sure they want the real deal.
They have some great
the flavor, and something like all natural would be way better than something that's traveled long distance.
Right. Yeah, we're very happy to be a part of the local food movement.
Yay.
Absolutely. Yep. But this little book here is a pretty cool book. My daughter Maeve's friend gave this to me at a farmer's market, and because he thought of me when he saw it, and it's got some really cool recipes in it. It's an older book, but a lot of the older books have these really, really beautiful color palettes.
Oh, fun.
There's a lot of folks that do what's the art called when people do drawings of things in nature? There's a name for that.
Oh, no kidding.
Whatever that name is, this is what these. Yeah, and the older books have some beautiful plates. They're called. So I enjoy just looking through these in my spare time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So what's a daily routine like for you? Is there such a thing? Do you get up and have to water your mushrooms, or is it anything like that?
So that's Troy's our farm manager,
okay.
And that's his responsibility. I'm the business manager and kind of, but yes, I still get my hands dirty. I'm building a lot of the stuff for the farm. I helped build the lab that we have over there, the inoculation tables. I get up at like 5 in the morning usually and try to get my head on straight.
And what's your association with Nantucket?
I don't have any association with Nantucket.
Just the name.
Other than my partner Todd is from Nantucket.
Oh, okay.
The original Nantucket Mushrooms was from Nantucket.
Okay.
So, but there's logistically, from a resource standpoint, you have to take wood chips onto the island, and then you have to ship things off the island. So it's difficult to have a successful operation out there.
Right.
So we're in South Chatham now.
Do you eat mushrooms all day long?
No. But I do eat them a lot. Like I would just take this, for instance, and have a snack. Yeah.
Interesting.
Right.
So there's certain ones you can kind of snack on, like you said, and then other ones you wait for dinner and have a meal with. Or.
Well, we don't usually recommend people, or I don't recommend people eating mushrooms raw because of their from a digestibility standpoint. You don't get the benefits from them as much as if they're slightly cooked.
Interesting.
But I still eat them raw sometimes.
That's a little different than other common vegetables.
Yeah.
Vegetables you want to eat raw because you keep all the nutrients. But mushrooms, what does heat do then?
Well, the cell walls of mushrooms or mycelium is made up of chitin, which is the same thing that insects or shell lobsters. It's the chitinous outer layer. Huh. So we can't really digest chitin. And so by slightly heating it, it breaks down the chitin in the cell wall. It helps release the beneficial.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I never heard of that. That's cool. So you learned me something new today.
That's good. That's good.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else you'd like to kind of add to our show here today? We have a lot going on.
Well, I could
the poisonous mushrooms. I know there's people that are going to want to hear about that.
So poisonous, so I also founded the Cape Cod Mushroom Club last year, and we lead walks. So thank you. Yeah, it's good. We have a lot of what I consider excitement. There's a lot of folks that are interested. It's a good club. www.capecodmushroom.org is our website, and we're always looking for new folks to.
So you go for walks?
We go for walks. Yeah, two walks a month, and we have one meeting a month at the Audubon Society at Long Pasture, who's been very good at hosting us for free.
Nice.
So thanks to the Audubon Society.
Shout out.
Yep.
And walks are different locations throughout the Cape?
Yep, different locations throughout the Cape all year long.
We'll have different mushroom cultures?
Well, different habitats, different ecologies, yeah. So certain species will grow with certain trees. Certain species will grow in grasslands. Certain species will grow in sandy areas and soils near the beach. Certain species will grow in cedar swamps. So depending on where you are, you're going to find different species.
So do we have a good buffet of mushrooms on the Cape?
I always caution people to be 110% sure of what they're finding before consuming anything. So the word buffet leads people to believe that there's a lot of edible mushrooms, which there are, but err on the side of caution.
Smart.
First, do no harm.
Very smart. Yeah.
We
should have said that in the beginning.
Yes.
But anyway, it's said. So a lot of poisonous mushrooms here on the Cape as well.
There's a significant amount. Yeah. I don't know. Species-wise, percentage-wise, maybe it's only 3% of the total species. But you need to know what those ones are and why, and to avoid them. So, from a real basic thing to talk about for identification purposes, real briefly, is I'll pick this, and that's
the brick top.
That's the brick top. Yeah.
Yes,
so there's
yeah. Nice.
There's many different species. Mushrooms have different. If you can get a close up of the gills here. Yep, there you go. So there's gilled mushrooms. There we go. There's mushrooms with spines, like these lion's mane back here. This has teeth that hang down. There's mushrooms with pores, like the ones on the table there that we were showing earlier.
Yeah.
So these are certain characteristics that you can utilize to identify.
Yep. Find them. Cool. So can people put them in a plastic bag, call you, send you pictures?
If you're gonna send pictures, make sure you take a picture of it far away in its habitat, so you can see what tree it may be growing near, what's the soil type like. Then take a close up of the cap or the
top.
There's another word for it, but the pileus is what they say in mycology. And then take a picture of the underside of the gills. Take a picture of the stipe or the stem. And the more, the better for identification. Then you can also take a spore print. And just real quick, I'll do a quick look at my. Nope, don't have my knife on me. But you can cut the stem about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch below the bottom of the cap edge.
Okay.
And place it down on whatever surface you want to take the spore print on.
Oh, I see.
And then you want to cover it with like a bowl, so that if you're walking by, spores are so light they'll just.
Isn't that interesting?
So you want to, and then it's 6 hours maybe, depending on the species, 12 hours. But the fresher the specimen, the better the spore print. And then you can use that to help with identification.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Wes.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here and sharing all this new. It's like a new language, really. Even with the Latin words.
It is a new language.
Very fascinating.
For sure. I appreciate you having me.
Very fascinating. Yeah. Well, thank you to everybody for joining us today on POCCA Cape Cod TV. And please do your own research and discover the new world of mushrooms. It's really fascinating. There are many benefits to mushrooms, including, from foods, a lot more than just foods, breaking down of, to create compost, to, you can even grow your own here on Cape Cod. How fascinating is that? Come join Wes sometime on a walk and see what's out in nature. And thanks for doing all you can every single day to lessen your amount of impact on our drinking water here on Cape Cod. Be well.